Hi everyone, welcome to the May 2000 edition of Wavelength. Last year on Earth Day, over 400 Colorado River Watch Network volunteers tested 63 sites as part of A Day in the Life of the Colorado River. The idea was to take a snapshot of the health of the entire river and its tributaries. Now this year on Earth Day 2000, that concept was taken statewide and called A Day in the Life of Texas Waters. On April 18th, over 2,000 volunteers tested at 300 sites all over the state as part of this water sampling initiative organized by Texas Watch. Professional monitors from TNRCC, the City of Austin, LCRA, and many other river authorities also tested their river and lake sites.
It seems like it's been a success even before the event started because of all the communication that's been taking place between Texas Watch, all the different agencies, the public agencies, the industries, the private groups, our regional offices with the TNRCC have all been getting involved with volunteer monitoring, and that makes it a success to really put out the word, to invite people to come on and participate with us, and also educate the general public.
In Austin, on the shores of Town Lake, students could participate in educational activities dealing with environmental issues such as non-point source pollution. Or land use models.
What happens when you've got stream bank erosion? What happens to the creek?
Colorado River Watch students from Anderson High School showed how to test the water for such parameters as pH, dissolved oxygen, and nitrates.
Nitrate level is
helps us measure the plant life in the river.
Because if there's a lot of nitrates, then that means that there's an overabundance of plants.
It can also help detect fertilizers. If there's a lot of nitrates, may mean that fertilizers have washed down into the river, which would be pollution.
So that's really what this is all about, is getting as many people as we possibly can to appreciate the fact that the rivers belong to all of us and they are the responsibility of all of us. And so as we can engage the public in this kind of an activity, whether it's just bringing them out like we're doing here where they can see people who are involved in water monitoring, or whether they can recognize that there are opportunities for them to become involved as well, then we're strengthening our ability to preserve our environment for the future.
Results of the Earth Day water quality testing can be found on the web at lcra.org and at texaswatch.geo.swt.edu.
Through the Texas Watch program as well as the Colorado River Watch Network, we're trying to nurture people's own stewardship efforts so that we can have stewards in every local region throughout the state of Texas. That is really the best way to manage and keep our environment clean. It's not from a statewide level, it's from a local area, grassroots, people in their communities caring about their communities.
Earth Day started 30 years ago as a global event to honor the Earth and to increase environmental awareness. Earth Day 2000 was indeed a beautiful day to be outside in Central Texas, whether sharing a ride or sharing lunch with a friend, or just enjoying the view.
The Highland Lakes are certainly one of the things that make Central Texas so special. And the dams that form these lakes were given special recognition in April by the Texas section of the American Society of Civil Engineers. In the shadow of Tom Miller Dam, the LCRA was presented this plaque honoring the creation of the Highland Lakes dams.
So from the works of providing power to Central Texas, the projects have grown, the LCRA has grown into what it is today, and I think that's a tremendous attribute to Central Texas that all of us are very familiar with, and we're recognizing today not only the historical significance, but the future of the LCRA and what it's going to be doing.
General Manager Joe Beal, a civil engineer himself, accepted the award on behalf of all those men and women who worked so hard building the 6 dams.
The LCRA is very proud of its accomplishments in building these Highland lakes, but we owe, and we need to continue to remember that we owe a debt of thanks to those people that were here before us that dreamed up these dams and took the first steps to build the dams. We are proud to be here. We are proud to be the steward of the Colorado and the steward of these dams as they exist today. And we are proud to be able to be in a position, as I said before, to put almost $75 million into the rehabilitation of these dams to keep them for the generations of Central Texans to come.
The plaque will be on permanent display at the Buchanan Dam Museum in Llano County. April also marked another significant milestone in the history of the Colorado River. It was 100 years ago, April 7th, 1900, that the original Austin Dam was destroyed by massive floodwaters. The Austin Dam was completed in 1893 to provide water and hydroelectricity for the citizens of Austin. The new lake formed behind the dam, Lake McDonald, quickly became a popular attraction. This side-wheeler, named the Ben-Hur, cruised the lake offering dinner, dancing, and vaudeville shows. Then on April 7th, after heavy rains in the hill country, a huge flood wave rolled down the river towards Austin. With no upstream dams to help protect it, the Austin Dam faced the full force of the flood, alone.
There's been a number of floods that we've faced that have been equally that large. The big problem, though, was there's a weak layer underneath the dam that was pressurized, and water actually forced itself under the dam, lifting the dam up, and moved a 500-foot section downstream.
The powerhouse was also flooded, drowning 5 workers. In Austin, 100 homes were destroyed at an estimated loss of $1.4 million.
It seems to me I've heard that song before.
12 years later, the city started rebuilding the dam at the same site, this time adding floodgates to help control the raging river. As the dam neared completion in 1915, floodwaters washed a huge log jam up against the dam, blocking the floodgates and eventually tearing out the center section of the dam. The dam sat unrepaired for 20 years until Austin Mayor Tom Miller reached an agreement with the LCRA in 1937 to rebuild the dam a second time. Dedication ceremonies for Tom Miller Dam were held April 6, 1940.
This dam could have survived the same events that caused failures both in 1900 and into the teens. The big difference between this dam and the previous dams is that the foundation problems that were identified as early as 1917 were addressed when we reconstructed this dam in the 30s.
At the same time, the LCRA was completing construction of Mansfield Dam, the giant structure upstream that would eventually protect Austin and downstream communities from the worst of the Colorado's floods.
McKinney Ruff's Environmental Learning Center had a very successful 1999 with over 22,000 visitors, including students,
What they do is they lay their
teachers, equestrian users, and hikers.
Which Paul Thornhill now.
In April, the LCRA invited legislative staff members to McKinney Ruff's for a day-long workshop focusing on how the LCRA manages the Highland Lakes and the entire river system. General Manager Joe Beal welcomed the group and talked about the history and the future of the LCRA.
We were created to solve rural problems. We were created to solve problems that that others could not solve very effectively. And for us to continue to do our job, that's what we're going to have to do in the future. We're going to have to know what the new rural problems are, determine whether or not the public wants us as a problem solver, define those areas where we really can make a difference, and then provide those services.
You can see that most of this area, the Llano River, the Santee River, within 2 days is in Lake Travis. And that's from the time the water hits the ground.
Flood and drought management, water quality issues, recreational safety, and the impact of rapid growth in the region were all topics of discussion.
Water is so important to the future of the state, and everybody needs it, and they expect it when they turn on the tap, but there's so many things that have to happen as far as planning and looking at better ways to use it and recycle it and those kinds of things that the legislature plays an important role in all of that. So a lot of issues dealing with water next session.
Attendees also learned about the natural diversity of this 1,900-acre site on the Colorado River in Bastrop County.
I was so excited when LCRA bought it, and I knew it was going to be preserved not only for future generations, but for my generation right now to come out to and enjoy and see what was available here, the 3 ecological systems that come together right here, and seeing the diversity of that and what that brings in flora and fauna. And it's a beautiful place, and it looks like that LCRA is really working hard to keep it as natural as possible.
And then you might hear that.
After lunch, the group was treated to a presentation by John Carger, Executive Director of Last Chance Forever, the Bird of Prey Conservancy.
Oh, wow.
Last Chance Forever is a non-profit organization dedicated to the rehabilitation and release of injured and orphaned raptors, including hawks, eagles, falcons, owls, and vultures.
The raptors, of course, are indicator species. Birds of prey are indicators for the world that we live in. And they'll certainly tell us very quickly that something's wrong with the water or the air or with our food sources. For example, the peregrine falcon began to disappear because of DDT. And really, if you want to simplify it, they're the canaries. The miners took canaries down into the mines, and when the gases got too poisonous, the canaries started to die and the miners escaped. Well, we escaped this one. We escaped the fact that the bald eagles, the peregrine falcons, the ospreys, many other animals and other birds of prey were severely hurt by pesticides and insecticides we put on the earth. Now, those things weren't put there with anger or with malice, but we didn't know much about them. And today we know a whole lot more about them. And of course, it's important to keep spaces open and keep lakes like Lake Buchanan working, and all the land that LCRA provides as open space. That helps these birds of prey be an indicator species.
Carter says that the key to saving endangered animals is education, and that facilities like McKinney Ruff's are vital in that process.
I'm very, very impressed with McKinney Ruff's. From the moment I drove in, I could tell that that someone took a lot of time in planning. Someone spent a lot of hours trying to think, how can we present a place that will give people the feeling that, you know, we've got to take care of the earth. With all of the trails, with all of the educational facilities that are here, I can see how it's going to make a huge impact on the children of the earth and the children of Texas. Oh, stop! I know you're ready to fly.
Some 3,000 high school students representing 11 Central Texas school districts attended the Greater Austin at Work High School Career Fair held at Palmer Auditorium in Austin.
And what a great day it is to be in Austin, Texas. We bring together what has made this community such a success. Bright young people who are our community's future, and a dynamic group of employers. If we can get the two together, there's nothing that this community can't accomplish.
More than 200 employers and representatives from colleges and universities talked to students about job opportunities, internships, and scholarships.
Our focus today is to introduce the LCRA to the local area high schools and get them familiar with what the LCRA is about, possibly providing intern programs, technical positions for students who are not interested in going straight into college, and then providing them with an array of opportunities that could build into a lasting relationship with the LCRA.
LCRA's Transmission Services Company, or TENSCO, was also promoting their TENSCO Tomorrow program.
It's where we dedicated some dollars for both internships and scholarships that specifically target females and minorities in order to diversify LCRA's workforce. TENSCO has positions in all different areas, from engineering to construction to fleet services, where maybe again we can attract people that maybe aren't going to school, aren't going to maybe a 4-year or 2-year school, or even those that are. And it's a way to really prepare the workforce of tomorrow for LCRA.
The fair included employers from many different fields, including high-tech, healthcare, construction, and hospitality.
So it's good to go to job fairs and events like this, you know, to get the background knowledge and maybe look at all the companies that you can get in with in the future.
I think it's really interesting because it gives you a chance to get a professional job somewhere where you might possibly go after college. So it kind of gives you a head start and a look in the business world, and I think it'll really help me once I graduate college to come back and maybe one of these companies will work out.
One major goal of the career fair is to place 2,000 students in 2,000 summer internships in the year 2000.
This 180-acre site in northern Fayette County was purchased in 1984 by the LCRA as part of a proposed lignite mining project. After the mine was canceled in 1990, LCRA turned this former cattle ranch into a natural science laboratory, a place where landowners can learn how to manage and protect wildlife on their property.
This is 6-point yearling.
This white-tailed deer management workshop held in March was sponsored by the LCRA and the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department.
I think it's a great opportunity for the landowners of Fayette County to allow them a place to come and see different practices that they would like to incorporate on their own land, but they're not sure how to go about it, and they're getting information today from the Parks and Wildlife Department and from the different seed companies and from us at LCRA to try to help them to promote conservation and the development of wildlife habitat.
And what they've done when you have a property like this,
the workshop included field demonstrations on topics ranging from habitat design and tree identification to predator control and prescribed burning.
The wildlife management is basically habitat management. You have to manage your habitat. And that's everything. That's your trees and your shrubs and your grasses and your weeds and the terrain and the food cover, water and the space and the arrangement of all those things make up wildlife habitat. And we're talking about deer out here today, but when you're doing good wildlife habitat management, you're not only benefiting deer, you're benefiting many other species of wildlife as well.
One of the major goals for Cooper Farm and the LCRA is to show that wildlife and agriculture are compatible and can develop a mutually beneficial relationship.
In the April-May edition of the LCRA News, read about the 35th birthday of LCRA's first gas-fired power plant, the Sim Gideon plant in Bastrop County. Also read about LCRA's South Carolina cousin, Santee Cooper. It's an organization with lakes, dams, parks, power plants, transmission lines, and even an environmental lab. You'll be amazed at the similarities between Santee Cooper and the LCRA.
Each of our 5 Who Care and 5 Kids Who Care winners will receive a beautiful engraved award.
Our adult winners will also each take home a $1,000 Raymond Todd Civic Award from the Lola Wright Foundation, and our younger winners will each get a $1,000 savings bond.
So just who are these outstanding volunteers? Let's go to KV24's Melissa Gale to find out about our first winner.
Well, here's a riddle for you. What has 6 legs and cheers up the patients at St. David's Hospital? The answer is Piper Becker and her dog Nika. They take part in a program called Therapy Pet Pals. In addition, Piper also provides peer support for people recently diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. It's a disease she's all too familiar with. She was diagnosed with MS 4 years ago, but she refused to let the disease beat her, and these days she's helping others. Here's Piper's story.
Me and Nika come to St. David's, and we go and we visit patients in the rehab, and we just visit people who want company and want to visit from pets. So we go and we say hello and we visit, and they pet Nika.
Piper enjoys visiting with the patients, and the patients enjoy her, and they love her pet. She loves the patients too.
As soon as we walk in the room, people light up. It's neat that you're making people feel better in a time where they're not feeling very happy at all. It'll be almost exactly 4 years that I've been diagnosed with MS. I went from running 4 miles Monday night to 2 days later not hardly being able to bathe myself, falling off the couch trying to get a glass of water. I spent probably about over 10 months doing physical therapy 2 or 3 times a day. I happen to have been lucky that I have been able to come back. Actually, it's funny because I come to St. David's, and I had seen a bunch of dogs standing around, and I was wondering what's going on here, and they said that they do pet pals where they go and visit patients. And I thought, wow, that's something that me and Nika could do. And it was perhaps the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. I'm doing something that's important to me, or something that I love to do, and it's helping somebody. And how many things can you do where everybody wins?
Well, that's it for this edition of Wavelength. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next month.